So if you are an alienated parent and you feel like you are in a rut or you are at the bottom of a pit with no exit doors, and you feel like you've been in a place of indecision and confusion, not knowing which way is up or where to go, where to even begin to start getting your happiness back and getting back into life, getting back into the swing of things, leaving the isolation behind, letting go of the shame that you feel and the judgment, the fear of judgment that you might have from other community members, your neighbors and friends, what have you, teachers. The first place, guaranteed, the first place you need to start is with your acceptance. So if you are not in acceptance, and I know this is going to immediately freak you out, but if you are not in acceptance of what has happened, then you will never, ever be able to climb out of that pit, right? As soon as you do, the doors open. The second that you actually come into acceptance. And now what I mean by that, please don't misunderstand me. When I say that you need to come to terms with it and accept what has happened, I'm not by any means suggesting that you are condoning it then, or that you are laying down like a doormat and accepting the abuse, right? Or accepting that it will keep happening. What I am suggesting and offering to you is that what has happened, as traumatic and as devastating as it might very well be, has happened. And when we argue with the past and try to bargain with the past and constantly spend our time thinking about what could have been, well, it should be, back in the normal days, if I would only have done this, right? Or only done that, if I could have just seen, then yada, 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 things would be normal. This wouldn't be happening to me. I would be mothering or fathering my child or children, right? That is very, 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 very common, very typical for alienated parents. But it's what keeps us in the hole. It's what keeps us from moving forward in any other area of our lives. There's always this pit in our stomach, and we feel like we're in one, right? Because we're still holding on to what has happened. Holding on to the past is if we can somehow bargain with it, change it. If you can find a time machine and go back and change how things, the sequence of events, then fantastic, you'll be rich. But if not, the only choice that you have, if you want to have a happy future, is to understand that it happened, to really, really get it. You may have replayed the events in your head, over and over and over, and know them better than anybody, right? But that's not the same as allowing them to be, right? So once we acknowledge them and allow them to be, then we find our power, because we're able to say, okay, that happened. I made that mistake. There was that the alienator was able to use that to their advantage. Now what? Now, how can I be the best mother or father to my child from here on out? Right? Because if you're concentrated on that past, and I know that, you must have heard this at some point in your life, maybe not pertaining to alienation, but that it's gets you nowhere, right? We need to focus on now and future. So it's the same thing with alienation. And as much as it killed me to accept and acknowledge, is that when I stayed focusing on the past, I stayed in a victim mentality. And I'm not saying that we are not victims of something, because you are. You absolutely are a victim to what has happened. And It is in the past. It may still be happening. It may be recurring, but it gets you nowhere to hold on to the mentality that goes along with it, right? Those are two separate things. Being a victim and then holding on to a victim mindset are two different things. So in order to find our power, because now we need to be resilient. Yes, and I know you're thinking, resilient, that's all I am. I know. But the way that I did it in the past, and probably that you're doing it now, is you're spinning your wheels because your power is not focused where it needs to be. So being resilient and finding our power for alienated parents looks like I've been droning on about, acknowledging that it happened and focusing now on what you can do in this moment to be the best parent you can today and going forward. And how can you find your power from here? Knowing that that's happened, it has. And you cannot change that. And still to this day and for the future, there's no chance of you being able to change the alienator's actions, your children's actions, or anybody else for that matter. You have power over you and your mind and your thoughts, and which thoughts you choose to keep in your mind and let them fuel you or bring you down. So it's a matter of being diligent about what you're choosing to think, because every thought in your head is a choice, every one of them. And we're human, so we have habits of the ways that we think. So we just need to do really a daily cleaning house of what's going on up in our brain, and daily writing things down, doing thought downloads, and daily talking to somebody that isn't going to just commiserate with you, that is going to help you or support you in finding your power from here on out. So that was just a summary, and the biggest reason that we find ourselves in the rut during and after alienation, right? And hopefully a few tips on how to change your perspective in order to emerge from it.